Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Jay Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're thrilled to have Ron Worman, the founder and managing director of the Sage Group. Ron brings a fascinating mix of experience from his early days at McConnell Douglas in robotics and design to scaling tech startups in the 90s and now leading a talent solutions firm that's been revolutionizing marketing, technology, and security for over 20 years. With clients like Google and Intuit and initiatives like the Great Conversation in Security, Ron's here to share how the Sage Group empowers businesses and leaders. We'll explore his founding story, how his company drives value transformation, and his vision for scaling this mission-driven venture. So let's dive right in. Ron, welcome to Founders Future.
Well, Jay, thank you very much. Usually I'm on the other end interviewing people with ideas that matter in the Great Conversation, my podcast. So this is interesting. You've turned the tables on me.
Absolutely, and I'm so happy that we're able to have you on. I know this is going to be a phenomenal conversation, so I'm excited to get into it. So, Ron, would love to really just start at the very top with you for our listeners here. Take us back to the beginning, Ron. What specific problem in the talent solutions or business transformation landscape, perhaps around staffing inefficiencies or executive challenges, really inspired you to start the Sage Group over 20 years ago?
You can't separate that idea from how I started in business.
Mm.
So, Jay, I started when it was still a mainframe world. And Mr. McDonnell was one of the first to use mainframe computers. In fact, he sent people to the moon with them. There was a movie about it.
Yep.
And he ended up one day after he integrated the technology into his different lines of business, military, commercial, so forth. He looked up one day, had football fields full of mainframes, and CEOs were coming to them going, "How did you do it?" Imagine there's nobody coming out of school. There's nobody writing apps. How did he do it? And like Bezos at Amazon, he took that input, said, well, I tell you what, we can help you. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to maintain it. You don't have to implement it. You just got to run it for your business. So it was the birth of cloud computing. Now, we called it time sharing because you would come on and you would pay for the time on our mainframes. I quickly went into McDonnell Douglas University. And this is where we learned it wasn't about selling features and functions. This kind of sounds like Steve Jobs talking about product marketing a little bit. We learned, not necessarily directly, but through this infusion of McDonnell Douglas University, we learned the greatest thing we could do is create enough trust where we could study the behaviors of the company. So at the end of the day, how do people perform roles in a measurable process using whatever tools you've given them to create organizational outcomes that matter? And then think about that, Jay, because you've been in sales a long time. If I learn the velocity and value of that process, then I can help the customer. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. Absolutely.
Well, that gives you a little bit of the history. So from there, after working with companies in that area, I verticalized in a new technology called computer-aided design and manufacturing. So again, are we just doing it faster? We're getting people off drafting boards? Or are we, like I told an Apple executive back in the 80s, or are we hitting market windows we never could hit before? So that was a transformation in value. And essentially, I went from there, McDonnell Douglas Unigraphics, the CAD/CAM division, went from basically nothing to about 280 million in 8, 9 years. I got to be part of that. It was an amazing transformation of how we thought of the product to manufacturing process. And then I went to startup land in the 90s. And I was so blessed, Jay, because I ended up having to start with scratch at 4 different companies, and all of them gave me a different MBA, if you will. McDonnell Douglas was the first one, how to do process consulting, right? If you think about it, all about balanced scorecard, Kaizen, and everything, but still selling something. And now I'm in the startup world with nothing. I just came from a $280 million division with nothing. And we had to really understand what the job to be done was. And you know this because of your profession. Once we understood the job to be done, we have to answer the who's doing it. And then if we understand that, what kind of language do they speak so we can actually bridge the gap of understanding of what we can do for them. And so each MBA, the first one, I didn't know anything about writing an investment grade business plan. And suddenly I was doing that for venture capital, and we recapitalized the company. Two, second one, had no idea how to actually build a company that would be of interest to the public markets like NASDAQ. We went public in under 4 years. Three, had no idea how to create a company which intentionally was going to sell in 2 years. And now we have to create the sales marketing plan that will create a company that would be a carrot, the bait for somebody who doesn't know it, but they're going to buy us in 2 years for $50 million. So I got a lot of different MBAs. And by the time we hit the late 90s, we're in the B2C, roaring 90s. Amazon basically went public with no profit. And we were writing business plans on napkins to get funding. And then the bubble burst in 2000. So I got my next MBA in markets that are hyperventilated and and how to deal with those markets when they eventually fail. And I started the Sage Group. So what do I have now? I have small, medium business owners and large companies, and I know how they work their pro formas, their business models, and their needs. And I decided to take the largest number of owners in our country, which is small, medium business owners, and help them bridge to what eventually will be a sale of their company. Because you know what the dirty little secret is, Jay? You can't take it with you. So you are going to build and sell one day. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
So
Perfect
that's what
sense.
the Sage Group is at the end of the day. We are interested in private business owners who are facing risk and opportunity and need to bridge the gap, but more importantly, construct a company of strategic value. And when they get to that point, eventually understand to be able to articulate it in such a way they get strategic value, not floor value that they would from just putting it up for sale.
Absolutely. That definitely makes sense. And obviously you've seen a ton of success being around for 20 years. So let's kind of dive deeper into that a bit here, Ron. So walk me through a bit how the Sage Group's offer has evolved since you started it 20 years ago. So I mean what you provide, like that interim staffing or marketers that matter community and who you serve, how's that changed since the beginning?
Oh, that's so good. So again, we're right after 9/11, essentially, when we started the company.
Yeah.
Imagine what that looked like.
Oh man, I can't.
And I learned a thing or two just like you have. Startup founders may have a big idea, a total market opportunity, a big fat market they envision, but they better start with one thing very specific. They only have so much ammo, so many resources, so much money. And so we decided to focus on that business owner that was at least 2 to 5 years from exit. And if we could catch them early enough, we could shape it and understand who's going to buy them before that a buyer would actually know they're going to buy them. And we
Right.
could set up a path to value. So that was our first. And you're probably going to say, how did you reach them? Well,
Yeah.
you'll love this. I'm always faced, especially with company gentlemen who or women who come from large companies. How do you know it will work?
Right.
So what I asked my co-founder to do is make a list of 10 small, medium business owners. And I would make the same list and we would go test it.
Mm.
Now, he goes, well, no one's ever done this before. And what he meant by that is no one has ever come alongside a business owner as a fractional executive to help them construct a company that'll eventually sell. So we are taking domains like brokers, we are taking domains like consulting, we're taking domains like coaching, we're taking domains like sales marketing experts and operational efficiency experts. And we are saying we can help you navigate all of that and put it together into a strategic plan with, you're going to ask me this too eventually, but the notion was they would pay a retainer and provide us some form of equity, whether that was a whether that was a broker position. We will be the exclusive broker, whether it would be warrants or whether it would be on the equity table. It all always depended on them and the context and how long we were going to be with them. For example, one customer I was with 15 years, $700,000 in value when we started. I think it was 13 years later, it was 50 million, and we were on the cap table the whole time for obvious reasons. So there you go. Does that help a little bit, the context?
That definitely opened up my eyes to how far you've been able to take this and just how incredibly intelligent you are in this space. I mean, I'm again super grateful to have you on and be able to really dig in and see the insights of what you're doing. So, I mean, talk to us a little bit here, Ron, about a misconception that people often have about the talent solutions industry. I mean, especially around its value to businesses or its scalability as a business that you would personally like to address.
Help define terms, because you've mentioned talent solutions a number of times. What do you mean by talent solutions?
Well, essentially, what you're offering to businesses. So the industry that you're in to be able to consult businesses to really get them to that endpoint where they can sell. How do you see, what's a misconception in that space for what the Sage Group is
I
doing
see.
that you
So you believe I'm in a category called talent solutions because I bring essentially a chief strategy officer focus and a operational expertise to the line of business managers in a company, right?
yeah,
I've
over.
never heard myself defined as being in the talent solutions market. So forgive me, Jay, but
No, no worries.
interesting because we also developed for scale, we developed a Sage network. So for example, Jay, I don't want to be your lawyer, but
Right.
because of my experience, I know the top M&A lawyers. I don't want to be your CPA, but I know top CPAs. I've tested them and they've gone through the fire. I don't want to be your HR officer, but I can tell you when you need one, and I also can tell you which ones to use. And you'll love this one. I'm not going to be your SEO expert, but I know the people who are right on top of the new advances in AI and SEO. So there you go. How's that sound?
That sounds incredible.
So I
That
guess I'm a talent solutions guy, right?
Yeah, it's not, yeah, I mean, we can definitely you're teetering on it for sure. For sure. Well, walk us through a bit. Obviously, you're doing so much here. I know you touched on it a bit earlier in the conversation, but walk us through really here for our listeners. How is the Sage Group generating revenue today, and what is the real core offer that you are structuring for your clients?
So imagine an owner. Let's go back to the owner.
Yep.
That's the only thing that matters. My customer, the owner or someone who runs the company, right? And um, owners, guess what they don't have, but they should have? They've gone to their financial planner. They know what they'll look like at 95 if they save enough money and put it in their 401k and their SEP plan, right?
Right.
They don't have the business in that integrated wealth plan.
Mm.
So, first of all, personally, what they measure and value has to be that wealth plan. And one of their assets has to be under management. So if you think about it, you're not just measuring revenue, you're not just measuring profit, you're measuring value under management, right? Like a stock play. And and if I buy Nvidia at $5, when do I sell? So I need you to understand that because if an owner thinks I'm just starting a company and I'm only worried about customers, what they need to understand is what are they measuring at the end of the day that'll define strategic value. Then we can go back to the beginning. I gave you my beginning. How do we
Yeah.
test your value proposition? How do we really understand what's going on in this marketplace you say you're in? What are the transactions of value? And if I was a taxi consultant, Jay, I do all the ABC taxis, and here's what they do, and here's how they do dispatch, here's how they do operations. I'd find the seam in the market and go, here's why they're dysfunctional, here's why they're not hiring the right people, but I'd be missing one big thing, and that is, where is the money going? So I study the mind of the investor. And this is where I discover Uber. This is where I discover consolidations that are going on that are going to affect competitive market advantage. If I can take those two minds and then walk into a company, now I'm not narrow vision. I'm not looking just at EBITDA. I'm not looking at operational flow. I'm not just looking at their strategy. I'm putting it in context of the market and the money. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. I mean, it's an incredible way that you're looking from the outside perspective and really just kind of expanding into how you can come in and just change your clients' lives. I mean,
But
it's
here's the real key. If you were a business owner, you'd like this.
yeah.
Guess how Sage manages itself
How's that?
and measures itself? We do the same thing.
Hmm.
So if I have XYZ, home services company, or XYZ leadership company, or XYZ software as a service company, guess what my portfolio in our internal meetings looks like? Value under management. I'm aligned with the owner. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just incredible, what you're sharing here today and what you're able to do and what you're achieving. Talk to us a little bit. I would love to hear this side because obviously you've seen so much success for 20 years, but what does the acquisition side for the Sage Group look like? How are you attaining new clients? Is it obviously through word of mouth because of how successful you've been? Or are you guys doing ads, LinkedIn, Meta? What does that look like overall?
Yeah, it's really interesting, Jay, because um, we are, over the last year, we are changing. Part of it is me. If I just told you I started in the mainframe world, how old do you think I
Uh,
am?
yeah. Yeah.
So where I'm going, by the way, I have no intention of retiring, but I'm eating my own dog food. That
Yeah.
is, I am creating a next generation succession plan. So I'm bringing on new partners. I'm scaling enormously. And because of that scale, I have to think in terms of differences than when I ran the company for years. It was word of mouth. I had a reputation. People would call me, and people would call me because they talked to somebody who knew me. It
All
was
right.
all word of mouth. But right now, we have a different flywheel now. The flywheel now has two different, our ideal customer was 3 to 5 years from exit. Now it's, we're going to go take people who are going to sell in the next 12 to 18 months too, and we're going to bring the same formula but at an accelerated rate. We are going to deal with owners who have portfolios of companies, and we're going to help them get better at identifying who should be in the portfolio, how to put them on a path to value, and how to exit. We have different ICPs now, but we also know we can't take everybody.
Right.
So part of our flywheel now is, how do we teach the path to value? Somebody who has, a $500,000 company or is just starting out, put them in a peer group.
Hmm.
Month by month, path to value university, Sage University, right? We also are starting to follow our own money. So if you were with me and I helped you close your company after helping to build it, after working on your personal value, your professional value, and your organization value, and we just sold your company for 50 million. And by the way, your people are valued, your processes are valued. This is what I mean by personal, professional, organizational value. You probably trust me now. The path, the value worked, right? So guess what happens to an owner who has $50 million in his pocket? Here comes venture people calling and private equity groups calling, going, I can take a percentage of that. Wouldn't you like to play in our portfolio? And I'm thinking, wouldn't he rather invest in an investment group who's doing the path to value? So we're starting to build up the infrastructure for a Sage Path to Value fund. Does that make sense? Follow the money.
That's it. I mean, that sounds like the big factor here is really follow the money. So, I mean, I'm very interested in this next question for you. Actually, two. The first one being the sales process. So, initial contact with a client, Ron, to signing a deal. I mean, how does that look internally? Do you have a team in place, a sales team? Are you dealing with these clients from start to finish? What does that look like overall?
Well, first of all, I'm not the bottleneck.
Yep.
So my job, I just told you where I'm at.
Yep.
My job is to get my darn book out, my Path to Value book out, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, make sure I do what I do for my customers, and that is make sure we understand who we're serving and why it's meaningful to them. Transfer that knowledge and execution strategy to my teammates, partners, right? Okay, that's my main role. Now, what does that look like if you came across a Sage partner? The first thing they're going to do, and this is huge, this is our native DNA. We're not out in that first phone call except to learn one thing. What are the challenges you're facing, the risks and opportunities in building a valuable business and a valuable life? So we're very, very cognizant. If we do that well, we're also vetting them. We're vetting them for, do they share our values? Because we don't want to deal with people who don't share our values. And if we had longer, I can actually go into that because that's our first call. Do we share values? Do they really want to build a strategically valuable company? Are they in a market that we believe is ripe for value transformation? And so we do heavy qualification because we can't afford not to succeed. Did you get that? We are vetting them because we don't want to waste our time or their time. So that first call is very important. Second call is we agree there is a match, both of us, and now it's about doing some mining. Second level of due diligence. So we're looking, you know the drill. If I was going to buy them, you guess what I would be asking for, right? So I do under an NDA a deep audit. This is all free, by the way. I do a deep audit and go, okay, now we know where you stand, and now we're ready to co-create with the owner what we're going to do with them. And if we can get past that third stage, then they're a customer.
Amazing. Amazing. So I know you mentioned that so a bit of the bottleneck issue there. That's what I was going to ask. What do you think is the biggest bottleneck for the Sage Group right now? I mean, you've been around for 20 years. Is there a bottleneck right now to growth, or do you see a pretty good path to where you're trying to get to?
We are doing fantastic. However, I don't rest on that.
Yeah.
So I've already told you what I need to do
Mm.
to secure the core for the next 10, 20 years. I need to write the book. I need to be out there more. I'm usually fairly reclusive. So I used to run a great conversation physical event for senior executives for 20 years. So it's not that I'm shy, but I need to get back out there, do public speaking, write the book, and also begin to transfer key operational areas to the partners. Other than that, we're doing fantastic.
I love it. I love that. So, I mean, it sounds like the plan is in place to continue to grow the way you want it to. So, talk to us a little bit here, Ron, about your top priorities. It sounds like those are going to be it for the next 6 to 12 months. Are there any others in mind besides the book and really getting out there more and really putting your face in front of where you want it to be to keep getting that exposure for yourself?
You know, it's fun. What I didn't tell you, but you can extrapolate.
Yeah.
Remember, I said I started in the mainframe world, right? Well, think about it, Jay. Technology, socio-political, economic, and business models. Think about all the shifts I've been through. Mainframe, network computing, internet, e-commerce, cloud computing, machine learning, AI. So what I feel a deep urgency on is to be able to help my clients adapt to the new man machine world. And this is going to be fun. I've been through every other shift. This
All
one's
right.
going to be a fun one. And I try to ease their mind. Don't feel panicked. This is just a natural evolution. And we're going to be in a prime position to help them do that.
I love it. I love that. So how do you see the industry's evolution, right? Is this kind of the next step here is
The
really
industry I'm in,
Yeah, just AI
Okay, so
and
you're saying the talent solutions industry?
yeah, well, yep, yeah.
I'm
I mean,
smart. Everyone, you can't see me, but I'm laughing with Jay because I've never thought I was in the talent solutions industry. But keep going.
yeah. So how do you see this evolving? Obviously it looks like you have a great plan set out to position yourself in front of it, but really, where do you see it going in the next 5 to 10 years?
How? What a great question. We don't have time for it.
Yeah,
I can go over the entire Sage flywheel,
yeah,
but suffice it to say, at the end of the day, we're never going to be McKinsey, Deloitte, and all the big five consulting firms. We don't want to be. We're a very boutique investment advisory. So the best thing that could happen to us over the next 10 years is I'm going to teach my partners how to do the rocking chair. You know what the rocking chair is?
now enlighten me.
Imagine, Jay, I've just taken your company through a 5 year path to value. You just sold for multiples of value. Your people are valued by the acquirer and your key processes. In fact, to the point in certain cases, Jay, you're going to get a second bite of the apple because they value you so much. They want you to be part of their next inflection point, whether that's a public offering or whatever, right? So amazing. And I invite you over to my house. We're looking over my lake, and we're both in an Adirondack or rocking chair.
Yeah.
We got a sip of something between us, and we are going through your story, our story.
Mm.
I'm teaching my people how to take notes because every one of these journeys is a book waiting to happen. It is a story of their life, their family, their people, their market, and themselves and their company. Isn't that amazing? If I can leave that as the legacy that we're really story people, we change the narrative and course of people's lives, then I've done something good for the world and for my people.
Incredible. So just to finish us off here, Ron, I mean, I wish we could sit here for another hour. I'm thoroughly loving our conversation today. But to wrap us up, what is a piece of advice, Ron, that you can give to other founders that are listening right now, just starting off, entrepreneurs in this space that are trying to get going, just like you have been able to see so much success in your life?
Don't go it alone.
Mm,
Life is really about relationships. And when you are vetting people who will become a part of your story, vet them completely on whether they can help you personally, professionally, and organizationally.
amazing. I love that. Well, with that, that does wrap us up here with another inspiring episode of Founders Future. Ron, I just immense thank you again for your journey has been remarkable. It truly has, and the insights that you shared with us, I know that they hit home with me, and I'm so excited to see what you can continue to do. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, which I know many of you have, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through trained appointment setters and world class marketing systems. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you on the next one.